Our guest is Carson Good with Good's Performance Horses in Long Valley, South Dakota. Hey, Carson, how you doing?
Good. How about you, Dwight?
Really good. You know, it's high school rodeo season, and you've got some memories. But back before that, what was it like growing up, not just around horses and ranch life, but the business of horses?
We've had a lot of horses come and go through our place over the years. I mean, not just ranch horses, but also rodeo horses. My dad, he started the business, I believe it was in 94, and ever since then it kind of just grew from there. And I'd say we've had over 1,500 head of horses came through here over the years, buying and selling, and just any type of level of horse that a person needs. We've seen it all.
Wow. If we stopped by for a tour of Good's Performance Horses, what would you show us?
Not trying to brag or anything, but like when people come here, they like to see Eagle Nest Butte, right at our place, because it kind of brings a good atmosphere, a good business atmosphere. And what we'd show you is our stud that's standing at stud, Blue Okie Joe, and all of our brood mares that we have. And then along with that, we'd show all the horses that we have raised, the colts that we have raised, and also some outside horses that we'd sell for some people too.
Do people keep in touch with you, keep track of some of those success stories?
Yes, they do. Well, there's many methods that they can get a hold of us, well, through phone, of course, but then also through our goodsperformancehorses.com. We got a website there, got all of our sale horses on there that's listed on there. And then also our Facebook page, it's under Goods Performance Horses. We communicate with buyers and sellers through there too. So, and we also post pictures and videos of new horses that we acquire that we got for sale too.
And you've got quite a rodeo family. Your parents, your grandparents, aunts and uncles, they all rodeoed.
Yes, sir, they did. It actually started out with my grandpa. He calf roped and team roped. I think it was back in the 60s and 70s. Him and Barry Barber, a friend of his, they traveled all over. Not really around the whole United States, but like around the Midwest at the time, like all the amateur rodeos and the professional rodeos as well. And then my dad and my dad's brother, my Uncle Darren, they got involved with the rodeo business as well, and they competed in steer wrestling, calf roping, and team roping. But once they got the nick of steer wrestling, then that's what they mostly did. And they actually went to a lot more rodeos than what Grandpa and Barry did. And then also my mom, she rodeoed too. She did all the events except the queen contest, but she was involved in rodeo as well. So I guess it just runs in the family. My whole family has done it for a lot of years, not just my parents and my grandparents, but also my aunts and uncles too. So it's kind of a family tradition.
Carson, what's your earliest memories? I mean, how old were you first time you rode a horse by yourself?
With help from my dad and my mom, I started riding a horse when I was about 3, but then I'd say about 4 or 5 years old, I had a little Shetland pony called Jake that kind of showed me how to ride him at first, with them walking beside me. And then pretty soon I got old enough, about I'd say 4 or 5 or even 6, to where I graduated to, where I was able to ride by myself. And I actually competed at my first rodeo when I was 8 years old. It was a Little Britches rodeo at Spearfish, South Dakota. That was my first Little Britches rodeo, my first rodeo ever.
What'd you do in that rodeo?
I flag raced, goat tied, and breakaway rope.
How'd you do?
Oh, it was a little bit rough at first, but I mean, it was enough to where I was like, hey, I can get the hang of this. And it took a while, to get competitive at it, but, with more practice and more time that I've put in over the years, and with help from all my families and friends. Without them, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I really, really thank them for that, for helping me get started in it, especially at a young age.
Speaking of where you're at today, I know you're in the PRCA, and we're going to get to that in a second, but you guys put on a bulldogging school there, don't you? And even do some private lessons?
Yes, we do. We didn't do it this year due to the pandemic, but we usually put on an annual bulldogging school here at the ranch. It's usually the first Saturday of April. Anybody can come, like from beginner to even advanced, who, need some polishing up on their bulldogging techniques. They're more than welcome to come to school too. And also, if you can't make it, we're gladly be able to help out with private lessons as well.
Can you practice steer wrestling without a steer?
A lot of people can. Well, there's all sorts of training dummies that, you can train on. I got what we call a steer saber. It's built like it's a replica of a steer, only, I mean, it's not live. You pull it but with a four-wheeler ATV, and one guy pulls it and the other guy, he slides it, kind of get his footwork, his technique down. So, or else if you don't have a steer saber, you can tie a heavy duty tree branch. We call it sliding the stick. Is That's how we used to do it before we acquired the steer saver. One guy would be dragging you while you're sliding the stick with the horse with a rope. But like I said, there's many other ways you can do it. Personally, the more dummy work, the better. Not only to better yourself, but also saves up on cattle too. But then there comes a time where it's really necessary to practice on cattle as well.
Sure. Say, when's the first time you ever jumped off a fast horse?
I was 13 years old when I jumped my first steer.
Was that in competition?
No, that was here at the house.
You ever been a hazer?
Yes, in fact, I actually haze more than I have bulldog. At a young age, I slid the steer saver, whatnot, kind of got used to bulldogging at a young age. Of course, I didn't start actually jumping steers till I was 13, but no, as far as hazing, I actually hazed more than I did bulldog.
Are some horses better on that side of the steer?
It depends. I look at it as, every horse has got to do his job, and I guess no matter what end it is. And personally, for a hazing horse, I'd like to have him faster than a bulldogging horse. I mean, you got to be able to slow him up, but I like to have him faster than a bulldogging horse. That way you catch up to that steer whenever whenever the bulldogger needs help.
How smart is a performance horse? Do they get up for competition? When you're loading up and headed to an event, do they know what's up?
Yes, they do. I'll give you an example. Like my bulldogging horse, he's good in the rodeo arena, but when you try to practice on him, he's not very nice at all. I mean, he's not a renegade, but, you could tell he gets a little too hot-headed in the box when you try to practice. So, I mean, they know the difference between when you're going to a rodeo and when you're practicing. I mean, they develop their own ways, definitely.
Awesome. Does he know when you've done well?
Yes, he does. After I get them running a steer, then either Dad or Denton or Grandpa, they'd lead him over to me, and then I could just tell by looking in his eyes that, if his eyes are bug-eyed, then he knew that he didn't do his job right. But if his eyes are like calm and his ears are relaxed and he's licking his lips, then he knows he's done a good job.
What's the difference between the steer wrestling horse and the team roping horse?
Steer wrestling horse, I'll be honest with you, you can actually team rope off steer wrestling horse. Like, for example, like my bulldogging horse or steer wrestling horse, I also heel steers on him, like where you rope the feet, which it's really, really good on them because it teaches them like to get their mind off of one thing and, help them focus on another thing. And so, a bulldogging horse, you want him to run. And when you go out of the box, you want him to leave off your hand. But like, it really doesn't matter how fast he is as long as he cuts the corner well. And with him, with the team roping horse, you want him leaving off your feet. You don't really necessarily want him leaving off your hand, otherwise you get out too good. It's kind of hard to explain, but for bulldogging, you don't want to like check. We call it check or pull as you're coming to the line before the steer gets out. Otherwise, if you do, then not necessarily bad wrecks, but like not so good situations happen. So there's just a difference between bulldogging and team roping horses, especially for that reason.
You were good, real good in high school rodeo, 2-time state champion in steer wrestling. Was that ever a goal that you set, or how hard did you work to get there?
It was a goal, definitely, because my dad and my Uncle Darren, they both won state one time. Dad won in 81, Darren won in 85. It definitely was a goal to me because I always looked up to them, especially with my bulldogging, and I always wanted to achieve what they did. Absolutely. I really did have to work hard for it to get where I was at.
Carson, what advice do you have for a young person who's got some talent in the arena?
I mean, you want to take the game serious, but then don't take it too serious where you're not having fun. I mean, you got to still enjoy it. I just look at it this way. If you ain't enjoying it, don't do it. It's supposed to be fun, and just go out and do your best. I mean, whatever you do in the arena, that's not going to define who you are. I mean, people are going to still love you and care about you for who you are, no matter what you do in the arenas. I just always tell them, just go be yourself, go out and enjoy it.
You're in the PRCA now. Still having fun?
Yes, sir, I am. It's every adventure, every rodeo has been fun for me, especially in the PRCA.
You do bulldogging in the PRCA?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Got some events coming up? Of course, with COVID-19, you never know.
Right, exactly. Well, I was supposed to go to North Platte, Nebraska in June, but that got postponed. But there's a 2-head PRCA rodeo in Oklahoma that same weekend that I think I'm going to go to instead. It's got quite a bit of money up for grabs that I'm going to go there. And then hopefully Newtown, North Dakota. And then there's before the 4th of July, and during the 4th of July, I'll try to hit about 10 or 12 rodeos in 2 weeks.
Say, Carson, to connect with you and check out your horses, you got Facebook and a website?
Yes, sir. On Facebook, it's under Goods Performance Horses. And our website is www.goodsperformancehorses.com.
Hey, Carson, thank you for taking time to visit with us right here on Black Hills TV.
You bet. Thank you for having me on here.